Welcome back to Lay It On. Today's guest is a huge inspiration of mine and a carrier of the fermentation torch of knowledge. Known for his charming smile, he's been called the Dennis Rodman of fermentation by no one other than me, I'm pretty sure. He headed the fermentation lab at NOMA in Copenhagen, where he also wrote the Bible of fermentation we call a book, the one, the only David Zilber. Dave, man, thanks for hopping on the old podcast. Thanks for chatting with me. I know you're over in Europe at the moment, right? But where are you? You got a lovely little studio pad you got there.
Yeah, this is my home. You can see all of my child's Duplo behind me. He likes to play with Duplo. He's almost 3. That's prime time.
Duplo?
Yeah, but I'm in Copenhagen. I've lived here for darn well near 11 years now. So
okay,
fun.
Great.
Yeah.
For some reason, I thought you now resided in Sweden.
My girlfriend is Swedish, and we go over there a lot to visit grandma and grandpa, or as they're called,
Gotcha.
more and more far. But
okay, that makes sense.
No, it's just across the water.
Man. Well, heck yeah. Well, thanks again, man, for hopping on, and just been a huge fan of yours for a long time. I know I think we've only met once a bunch of years back in New York. But we've got some mutual friends and some mutual passions, it seems. And you've always been an inspiration to mine, just with your work over at NOMA, which I want to talk about, and just all the stuff that you do on your own, and just your quirky personality behind fermentation and life, and I think that's awesome, man. So you didn't grow up in Copenhagen, correct me if I'm wrong, right? You are Canadian, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, no, I'm Canadian.
But yeah, man, so you grew up in Toronto, like we're talking high school, finished high school out there.
Yeah, barely.
All right.
I was such a terrible student. I had such shitty grades. My teachers hated me because they
Really?
could see the potential.
But you were a little punk, though. You didn't give a shit, did you?
No, I didn't. I like how you know what flavor of punk I was, and you're like,
yeah,
you just didn't
no. We
care.
Probably would have been friends. You're probably out there skateboarding and smoking dope or something. Spray paint and stuff, or what are we doing?
Yeah, I did all those things. Maybe not all in high school, but I did all those things at some point in my life.
Yeah. How was Toronto growing up there? I've never been in my life, which I need to change because I know seems to be a pretty awesome town for a lot of reasons.
It's such a good fucking food city. Can we
Yeah,
swear on this podcast?
Oh yeah, if your kids are listening, just it's the way of the world, and I'm sorry, but not really.
I don't know. For all I know, this could be sponsored by PBS or something, No, growing up in Toronto is fantastic. It is such a good food city, and it is, like, I know that, like, yeah, America's the melting pot of the world and blah, 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 but Toronto is actually, like, it's like a little United Nations. You want to go have, like, great egg custards, go to Little Portugal. You want to have, like, great kimchi jjigae, go to Little Korea. Go to Little Japan. Go to Little India. Go to Little Italy.
Good Vietnamese food?
Yes, very good Vietnamese food. Very good.
Ethiopian?
Very good yeah. Also that.
Wow. So sounds like it, man.
Yeah.
And it's a rather large city, correct me if I'm wrong, right?
It's huge.
We're talking millions. It's a big one.
It is funny that I live in a country now that is smaller than the city I grew up in. Like,
oh yeah, I believe it.
No, I think it's like the 4th or 5th biggest city in North America. Like,
oh wow,
not nothing.
And is it like a good place growing up as a kid? Is it like public? You like walking to school, public transportation? What's the school buses?
Yeah, it was okay. I would get picked up in. It was funny because I would get picked up in the short bus, but not because I was slow, because I was in French immersion. And so you had this option.
That's what they told you, but
exactly. And I believed it. I still do.
Well, you proved them all wrong, David.
Yeah. No, but in Canada, because French is the second national language, they offer the ability to go to French school. My father, being from Montreal, thought it was a good idea that I speak French, so I had to go to school out of district, kind of, to go to a French school, and then I would take the short bus.
So do you now still currently you can speak French still?
I'm trying to teach my kid French, but it is difficult in that I have no one to speak it with, so it's like me and a 3-year-old who can, like, barely speak English trying to learn another language.
You got a lot of languages going on.
Yeah, there's a lot. And then he speaks Danish. He gets Danish at daycare, and then he speaks Swedish with his mama. So he's going to be a polyglot.
Yeah, man. Get him on some Cantonese, and he'll be set.
Yeah.
No,
I go back to Toronto once a year to film Top Chef Canada, which is always fun.
Yeah.
And I take him with me, and so he gets exposed to kind of like what I had growing up. And so like I take him to like Chinese restaurants that you just do not get in Europe, you know, like places where they're doing like hand pulled noodles and like,
Oh yeah.
you know, take them to pho spots and Caribbean food. Oh God, I miss like black
Out
people
of
food
control.
in Europe, in Denmark.
It's
Uh,
just not existing.
no, you would
Well, you
like
got to
the
go to
closest
like
place
you
you
got
can
to go
get
to
anything close to that
London
is
or something.
London.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you know, I go there and I take him and we get like spicy beef patties and like jerk goat and stuff like that. So that's
So you
nice.
got a kid. We'll get into that, right? But so kid's a good eater.
He's a great eater. He's a
Love
great
that.
eater.
Yeah, my youngest, he's a little sea otter. He'll eat everything, man. He'll like.
My
He's a problem.
my tactic with him is like if you can't convince them, confuse them. Like
All right.
I go to great lengths to try to not give him the same plate of food twice.
All right.
So
You know, a wise old man told me one time, no kid will, and I'm going to butcher this for God's sakes. Let me just get the point across. Is that like a kid won't starve himself to death? You know what I mean? He might be picky, he might be fussy, but if they're going to eat, you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like,
it's
I don't know,
just
maybe
I think the arc of like how long it takes for them or like how many meltdowns there will be before
how
he's
much
so
you want
hungry that he will eat. You know, it's
to,
like I try to
who wants
minimize
to go
that.
through that? Yeah.
Exactly.
Heck yeah, man. So Toronto, growing up there, is that where both you say you miss like Caribbean food when you go back to Toronto and stuff, and you mentioned your heritage, Black Jewish, you said, right? I
Yeah.
didn't screw that part up, right?
No, that's
The
right.
black part of Dave, is that from the Caribbean?
Yeah, yeah. My mom's
Okay.
my mom was born in Curacao, and then she grew up in Dominica, and these are both tiny, tiny islands that I think no one really has ever heard of.
Right.
And then she moved to Montreal. My grandmother on her side passed away when she was quite young, and so she moved to Montreal when she was quite young, and then ended up renting like the basement apartment of like my grandfather's house that my dad lived in. And then that's how my parents met.
Your mom, good cook?
Oh, fucking great cook.
Yeah.
Great cook.
Mom.
She is why I am a chef. She is.
Okay. Yep.
And
Is your mom still alive?
yeah.
Oh, God
She's
bless her.
kicking. She's kicking.
God
I'm
bless her.
excited to see her.
And she was a good cook, man, huh?
Yeah.
Still is.
Yeah. And I think the best part is that like so my dad is Ashkenazi Jewish and my grandparents like immigrated to Canada after World War II from Poland. And like she and my grandmother got along so well, and like she just adopted all of these like Polish Jewish recipes. Like she makes a
Right.
mean matzo ball soup. It is pretty
Okay.
funny that like this like 70-year-old black woman from this tiny island in the Caribbean can make a mean matzo ball soup, but that's kind of
Wow.
like
That's
like there's a real
what a-
melting pot.
what an ace in a pocket right there.
Yeah.
Good matzo ball soup.
Mhm.
Woo. Heck yeah, man. And then on your dad's side, dad cooking or no?
He was terrible. His
Terrible.
claim to fame, like he wasn't even really that great at like making burgers on the barbecue, but like
Okay, he could burn a hot dog.
yeah. But like why would you put barbecue sauce on a burger? I'm not but like some dads just like do that.
That's not
I guess.
that weird, Dave.
Okay, fine, fair enough.
I
Would
mean,
you
I'm
do
with
it?
you. It's a little unnecessary and
Yeah.
a little childish at this point in the game, but it's not the worst thing.
His claim to fame, his signature dish was something called chicken a la Yvonne. My mom's name is Yvonne. And it was just basically
Okay.
like skin on chicken just stewed in like a can of tomatoes with like no flavor, no seasoning, no salt.
Not a pinch
And
of
like
salt.
Uncle Ben's rice or something. And I'm just like
Hell yeah.
and I'm like, this is what won my mother over. I'm like, this is sad.
Definitely wasn't the cooking.
No. I got the science from him and then the cooking from
Oh, so
my
dad's
mom.
a smart cookie.
Yeah, he was an engineer. He was cool.
Okay. All right. We're putting the pieces together here, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm seeing this now.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah,
This
exactly.
beautiful creation, this love flower that sprouted from Toronto and became a fermentation sensation known as David Zibler.
Zilber.
Zilber. My God.
There you
This
go.
is ridiculous.
L before the B.
Right. Zilber.
Yeah.
That makes total sense.
Rolls off the tongue. It is silver in German. That's where that name comes from.
Oh,
Zilber.
amazing.
Yeah.
So you Toronto, man, you're cooking. What was like you guys like high school? You working? You got a job in high school?
Well, my parents were like, "You are so bad at school that you are not allowed to get a part-time job. So you need to focus on your studies," which I didn't do anyway. I think I was just in the basement playing like N64.
Okay, you were a
Um,
gamer. You were a gamer.
yeah, or like dirt biking down like the Don River Valley.
All right, be a
Um,
kid shit. Doing
yeah,
that
exactly.
stuff.
Blowing
Having fun.
blowing stuff up with like what were those firecrackers? Like M12s, M2s,
M80s, buddy.
M80s. Yeah,
Yeah, back in the good day.
back in the days.
Lo-
Back in the days.
love a good firework.
No, so my grades were so bad that I had like no chance of going to university. Like sun is setting on my high school academic career, and all my friends were like getting scholarships to like film programs or like business programs, and I'm like, well, no one's gonna accept me. And I had a really great guidance counselor who was like, well, then how about you do something practical? And I was like known for, like again, like growing up being kind of at my mother's hip in the kitchen. Like I would bake with her, I would cook with her, and so I was like the guy that would like bring snacks to class in high school. And it's like if it was your birthday, I would like bake a cake and we'd be eating at home for him. And so that kind of like I had like a small reputation for that. And then my to her credit, my guidance counselor guided me to a new career path.
There's a shocker. There's a
Yeah,
story you don't hear often. At
yeah.
least where I'm from.
And
My guidance counselors were useless.
she like picked up on this and said, you know what, I think you should like do something with your hands. I think you're gonna be more suited to that, and you like cooking, I can tell. And she presented me with this like co-op program. So like the last half year of my schooling in Toronto of high school, I was thrown into like a 4-star restaurant through this like trade program in Ontario. It was
That must have been
fantastic.
a shock.
I got a great spot. My very first job, my very first restaurant. The owner of the restaurant had worked. He was like Nobu's sous chef, like back in the '90s in New York. The restaurant was called Rain. It was fancy. It was Pan Asian cuisine. The food was very tall. This is like 2003, 2004,
Okay.
right?
Yep.
Like the food was stacked high. Like
Oh
we're in
yeah.
this era of art culinaire, right?
Big time.
No, I really cut my teeth in that kitchen, and I'm still friends with like my sous chef from back then, and a
You
lot of the
enjoyed
guys
it?
from back then. Yeah, it was like the first time in my life where I'm like, oh, you can learn another way. You can like do a process and then immediately see a result, and then
And you're
correct
so
it
so
if you
you're
need to.
working the line, you're doing prep there. How long you worked there for?
I worked there for like 2.5 years. There were two restaurants. There was the Asian restaurant, and then in my time at Rain, the Asian joint, they opened a new restaurant called Luce, which was like same level of cuisine but Italian. And then I worked between the two, and so yeah, I started off in garde manger as like an 18-year-old, in at Rain, and then I was on the grill and on the pasta section at the Italian joint, and it was great. It was a great place to start to cook. It was. I had really
What
great
was the vibe?
teachers.
What was the atmosphere like? I mean, was it obviously it seemed like it was a good experience, but like as far as like people yelling at you, is it a good place to work, a good place to learn,
It
or
was
did
like
you kind
it
of
was a
make it
very
happen?
broy kitchen. I mean, this is like early
Okay.
2000s. It was surprisingly not a yelly kitchen. Like I worked for like a more like hardcore chef in the next place I worked when I moved to Vancouver. Um, and he'd come from like Marco Pure White like pedigree, like that sort of stuff. But no, it was actually like pretty. It was it was a really great place. Like it was hard work, and like there were demands, and it was stern. But like no one was really screamy, no punching, no
That's
like
good.
a tiny bit of sexual harassment. Like my sous chef would like grab my dong with his tongs on the line as a joke, and
Yeah,
I
you'll
thought it
have
was
that
funny.
sometimes. Yeah.
But this was a different time. I would not
Yeah, I
suggest
mean,
anyone
sadly
listening
not
to this
the
show do that now.
no,
Um,
good way to get let go, that's for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
And pick up a pretty nasty reputation.
But 20
Sexual
years
assault
ago.
is yeah, well, it's water under the fridge at this point. Toronto, man, so you're cooking there and now I know you kind of really and I'm sure, like you said this is about 18, 19, 20, 21 years old or something like that, right? Like are you when did cuz I know you, for this big like understanding and and scientific kind of breakdown and just passion for umami and flavors and fermentation. And like, when did that kind of seed? Is that something your mom did it all, or any of these early restaurants kind of got involved into you, or?
I mean, yeah, at Rain, like this was us taking Asian food, which was like very like no one thought of a Chinese restaurant or like a Thai restaurant in Toronto as a fancy experience. And so it was really a place that was trying to, take these styles of cuisine. And even though the chef was Italian himself, Guy Rubino, it was nice that like two of my sous chefs were like Filipino and Chinese, so it's Taiwanese. And so it's like they brought
Right.
their knowledge to the table.
Yeah, and you see different things too. They're using
Yeah,
different
yeah. And like
knives,
these were the
they're
people actually making the food, and like Guy
yeah,
was the
and
one like
doing it
kind of
fast.
designing the style. And like I was making kimchi at the age of 18. It was like a huge prep job. It was like a fancy kimchi. So like everything was julienne, and you would make, I don't know in gallons, I'm not even going to try to convert, but you would make like an 18-liter pail of it at once, and you're just there doing prep for a whole day, just julienning Napa cabbage and like daikon and radishes by like the crate. And I'm like, oh, this is a weird recipe. We make this and then we don't use it for like a month. It's like
Right.
it just sits in the fridge. And so and I was, I would have to do the beef jus, and like at the last second prepping it for the grill, like throw stinky tofu in, and I'm like, this tastes like blue cheese. I'm like, that's
Right.
a weird thing. I've never heard of stinky tofu. But we were getting great ingredients. We were getting like shiro shoyu from Japan, and like all these
Cool.
weird, like every shade of miso under the sun. And so I was cooking with this stuff. And so, yeah, I developed an understanding of it at an early age, even though I wasn't making it.
Right. And it
Um,
sounded like they had a good budget for ingredients and stuff, which is cool. You get some fun stuff in. It's exciting. And something like kimchi, um, yeah, you start to see the process, right? Like the different smells. And you say they did it, the whole fermentation was in the fridge, or they would just kind of stall it in there and store it in there.
no, we would throw it straight into the fridge and then not use it for a month.
Wow, it
That's
was
how
just
we did
kind
it.
of sat in there,
I
just a
think
real.
maybe like it is a bit anachronistic to like try to take, like, not just talking about you or me who have worked in and around fermentation for years and years and years, but I think just anyone generally, even in the world of, even in kitchens, have such a better understanding of these processes today than 20 years ago.
Right.
So I don't discredit anyone back then for being like, oh, we can't just leave this out, we have to put it in the fridge, but that it's aged, but you haven't done the research, and like the internet also doesn't exist yet, really.
Yeah, it was probably illegal.
Yeah, like I'm sure it was someone's decision back then to be like, no, we'll just age this in the fridge,
Right, right.
which was fine. And
No, that's an interesting point that I want to come back to. It's just this availability, this huge introduction of information that really kind of, like you said, kind of helped with that. And it seemed like it probably contributed to your life too. So you got this seed planted with this kimchi and cooking. What was kind of the next? I guess I'm trying to lead up to like how you got to working over at Noma and really getting into fermentation and the science of it, and not just making experiments, but like really getting into, on a molecular level, like what is going on, which is fascinating, and it just seems like a lot of, to your point before, and something I would love to hear you talk about, and we can come back to it because I know we're not quite there yet in the story. So you're cooking over at Rain and this Italian joint, and this is still in Toronto, correct? Or
mhm,
is this, yeah?
mhm.
And that's
Then
going on for a few years.
yeah, and then it was kind of like my time to leave. I'd been there for like almost 3 years between the two restaurants. I moved to Vancouver for a year, and I worked for, I don't know. There's something about, I caught the bug and like working at Rain, and I'm like, wow, this is a great restaurant. I want to work for an even better restaurant. I
Right.
think you get exposed to that, and it's like, and I've seen this a lot in like people I've been in charge of as well. Like you get exposed to greatness or like ambition in the world of gastronomy, and of course this applies to other fields. And you can see if someone has, like, if they get a taste for blood, you know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, oh, I
Right.
want more of this. Like, I want to keep
Right.
climbing this ladder. I want to see how far this can go. Or you
Right.
get freaked out and you're like, nope, not for me. I will just take the hotel, catering breakfast shift, please. And I was kind of the former in my disposition. And so I asked my chef back
Sure.
then, I'm like,
More exciting, right?
who's the best chef in Canada right now? And he's like, go see David Hawksworth in Vancouver. He worked for Raymond Blanc. He worked for Marco Pierre White. And if Michelin was here, he would have a 2-star restaurant easy. And so I moved to Vancouver at like the age of 20 and walked into the restaurant with like the no money I had and sat down for a table of one. And as the hostess was dropping off the menu, I was such a geek. And I was like, can you tell the chef that I would like to work here? And she was like, what? And then he came out and like, he's like, all right, well, you moved here and you're here now. Okay. So, why don't you come in for a trial on Monday? And so I did. And, I worked for him for a year. Didn't love it. But that's
Intense.
okay. I moved back to Toronto and then, a little roundabout. And I actually ended up in a butcher shop, like a nose to tail butcher shop.
So a
through a
nice
friend of
change
mine.
of speed there.
Yeah, it was. At some point, I got like, whatever, restaurants.
Fuck
And
this.
I
Was he
like
an
asked,
asshole? Yeah. I shouldn't put you on the spot like that. But yeah, I get it. It was just it was not as fun of a restaurant to work at, it sounds like. And like you said, you get into some restaurants, right? Where it's just becomes crazy. And it's just like, I've worked at a one relatively nice restaurant, and that's how it was. Like, it made me kind of not enjoy the process of cooking. To me, it was like, this is not how I like to cook. I don't want to do this. Whatever this is, I don't want to do that.
and back then more than now, you would get cooks that like wore their abuse as like a badge of honor and be like, yeah, one
Big
time I was
time.
in like Gordon Ramsay's 3-star working for him, and I was so sick that I was puking on the floor, and I just like cleaned it up with my apron and got back on the line. I'm like, that seems like a health code violation.
Yeah,
Like,
one
why?
time chef burned me with a waffle iron, and
Yeah,
look at the
exactly.
scar.
Shit like that.
Totally, man. So the butcher shop, that sounds like a blast. I mean, I love
It was so
personally.
much fun.
Yeah, man.
It
And you
was
said
that
they were
was one of
getting
the best
in,
jobs I ever had. It was
really
just so
getting in
much
like
fun.
whole animals,
Yeah, it
or
was like
halves. Yeah.
Toronto's one of the pioneering nose to tail, all organic. We'd get bison, we'd get elk, we'd get like wild boar. It
Cool.
was so cool.
It's
And
still
then
there.
in like a weird, I think it got sold and it's like a private label thing of like a much larger company now. Like it barely exists, kind of. Um, but again, this was like almost 20 years ago now. But because I had this kind of like upper echelon of like culinary experience, they hired me to be the charcutier. They're like, hey, we have a sausage line. We don't really love it. It doesn't sell that well. Can you do this? I'm like, yeah, sure. And they're like, can you like revamp the recipes? And that was really fun. And that's where fermentation was my job full bore for the first time. Yeah, I was making all the fresh sausages, but I was also like curing meats, making like bresaola, like we made a few legs of prosciutto. But all of the like actually fermented dry cured salamis, like Genoa salami, like cured prosciuttos, things like that. I was taking these little packets of bacteria out of the freezer and like dosing them and like hanging them up in the rafters. And I'm like, this is weird, but I had the Michael Rollman book with me, and that was enough to make
Amazing.
me think like, this is okay. If he's telling me to do it, I should. Yeah, it's fine.
And it was coming
But it
out
was
nice. You're
cool.
getting a nice bloom
Yeah.
on it. Things were
Yeah,
coming
exactly.
alive there,
And
huh?
our charcuterie fridge was a busted like sliding door Pepsi fridge that we just like
Of
stuck
course.
a stick in the door of so it didn't close, so you could get some air circulation.
Right.
But it worked
But
great.
it worked.
Worked great.
Yeah. That's fun, man. So that they put you in charge of that just because you were smarter probably than most people coming in there cutting meat, and like had an interest in the science of it, and had neat handwriting. I'm guessing you probably have neat handwriting.
It's fine. I'm not gonna
It's
brag about it.
nice.
It's okay.
It's
No,
nice.
just
No,
it's
it's nice.
fine. It's just fine. It's legible.
Okay.
No, I wasn't the science guy back then. I wasn't. That came next. I got back into restaurants, and I like after a couple years of the butcher shop, which went really great. I wanted to change it up again. I ended up moving to Montreal. And that's where, and I was working at like a really fancy hotel, and the restaurant was quite separate. Like we didn't have to do room service or stuff like that. And it was in old Montreal. But like the hotel's restaurant on the ground floor was, a team of like 6 of us. And it was really, really fantastic, and a fancy kind of multi-course tasting. But in that kind of period in my life, that's where I like fell in love with reading. It was a blog on Tumblr at the time. I'm really dating myself here. And it was this like just a cool guy from San Francisco. I think it was like a designer that worked for like Arc'teryx or one of these fancy outdoor brands, and he would just post stuff he likes on Tumblr. And one day he posts a book. He posts a book called Through the Language Glass, and then like gives a little short diatribe, and he's like, "Oh, this is what I'm reading right now." I do. If anyone here follows me on Instagram and you see like I have a currently reading post, that's where that comes from. I'm like, wow,
Oh,
I discovered a
cool.
great book this way. I'm going to do that for other people. And it was a book about how language shapes your perception of the world and history and like cognitive science, and it was really approachable, and I loved it. I just picked it up on a whim, and I was like, wow, that was fun. I want more of this. A little note about myself: my dad being an engineer, he exposed me to like fun science shit all the time. Like we would go to the science center. He took me to like NASA Goddard. Like we did all the stuff. I was just bad at school, but I did love science. Like I did love learning about the world. And when I got into cooking, I was for want of that for a long time. And then I fell into reading kind of approachable and accessible books that taught me things, and I just never stopped. And it's nothing to brag about. Like I probably shouldn't say this, but like I haven't read a book of fiction since I picked that book up, because I'm still just so like, but there's so much I don't know.
Right.
And I
No,
get
I
my
get
art
that.
other
I
ways,
mean, who's
but
got
like,
time? I get that, man. If you're gonna read something, right? I mean, I guess it's, and not to knock a good escaping story,
yeah, I could read like Twilight or whatever, but
I
I could
guess,
also,
I'm with you. If I like the idea of, because it feels good, right? And especially if you can apply it to your life too. I mean, that's just,
yeah.
yeah,
But I
that's,
think what was fun for me is that I didn't understand the ways in which I could apply it to my life until much later, which we'll get to.
hmm.
But after that, I moved to Vancouver. I worked for this asshole chef, David Hawksworth. Again, he was hard. He was a hard chef. But I kind of missed that, to be honest. And so I ended up being a sous chef for 3 years. It was great. We won like best restaurant in Canada when we opened. We got all these accolades, best in the city. It was fantastic. I learned a lot about responsibility and like managing teams. Now, at the end of that tenure, I applied to 3 restaurants: Alinea in Chicago, Saison in San Francisco, while Skeens was still there, and then Noma, because those were like, these are my top 3.
Right.
And the American restaurants just not even answer my email. But then Noma got back right away, and they're like,
Really?
come fly out. And so I did that. I did a trial, and yeah, they gave me a job.
Wow. The other one, they didn't even, not even a response. Huh? This lost
No,
in the sauce.
no.
Huh? Whatever.
I remember
Classic
on
Americans.
the book tour for the Noma Guide to Fermentation, we did a stop in Chicago, and I ate at Alinea, and Grant Atkins was there, and he came out to the table and he invited me to the kitchen afterwards, and he's like, and I'm like, oh, it's so great. And I'm like, yeah, I've been wanting to eat here for a long time. And I'm like, I actually applied to work here. And he's like, what? And I'm like,
Oh,
he's like,
yeah.
when? And I'm like, yeah, like back in like 2013. And like, no one answered me. And he's like, who was managing the emails back then?
That's when, what year is this? So you started working you flew out to Noma, and they just wanted to check you out, give you a little stage, see how it was
Yeah.
going, or?
Yeah. So it was like a 2-week trial where you're working. This is a long interview. And you're working on a section for 2 weeks. And then it was a little bit different for me. Dan Giusti, the head chef who now runs Brigade.
Yeah.
I think you've done some stuff with him, right?
Yeah, I know Dan.
He gave me a Saturday night project as like my final exam, where I had to come up with a dish and present it to the whole team. And it was a good dish. It was like a lamb tartare I did with like a little crispy flatbread and like artichoke. And yeah, it was very like Noma. It was maybe a little simple because I didn't understand all the flavors of the whole pantry, but like it definitely kind of fit the bill.
Was it a bite? How was this served here?
No, it's like it could have been like an appetizer. It was maybe like a couple ounces of meat on a big plate.
Beef?
Lamb. It was lamb.
It was lamb, you said. Sorry.
Yeah. I think I had some like honey yogurt on there. It was kind of like Indian flavors, like South
What
Asian
cut of
flavors.
lamb did you use?
I used I think it was like top sirloin.
Yeah.
Like it was like the rump.
Yeah. I love a good tartare. I love lamb.
Yeah, it is good.
All right, so you serve that up at the end, and what? I mean, did you feel like was this like, I'm sure they had their mind made up before the this lamb tartare, but no, or what? You
Yeah,
tell me. I
maybe,
mean, like,
maybe. I think generally I fit into the
yeah,
kitchen.
they'd
I think
have
that's
to.
what
I mean,
they're looking for. It's like, do you mesh within the team,
yeah,
or
because I
are you
mean,
something that we can work with?
they want to make sure you're not an asshole. They can. There's plenty
Yeah,
of people that can cook.
yeah. But yeah, it worked well. I was put on the section with another Canadian who had started like 2 or 3 months prior, and he ended up becoming the head chef after Dan. Ben Ing. He's in Australia now with his partner. They just had a baby, and then I became the director of fermentation. It was kind of funny that like the two Canadians like rose to the top of the pot, but we
Canadians,
worked
you gotta
hard.
watch them, man.
Yeah, we can come out of nowhere.
I love it. I think in a previous, maybe in my past life, I was a Canadian.
It's not that far. The border is very close to you.
Yeah, yeah, but I don't know. You guys got a good vibe up there.
Yeah, I think
But
so.
before all right, so Noma, man. I mean, we kind of jumped into that pretty humbly as David would, and but you got into working at one of the at the time were they like buzzing? Is that like Noma like best restaurant in the world era?
It was the year, like right when I got there, actually like during my trial, they won best restaurant again after
Oh
being
wow,
demoted to number
so
two.
it's buzzing there. Yeah, I
Yeah, it
was
was like the comeback. It was
what
like
was the
Jordan leaves
energy
the
like?
Bulls and then comes back after baseball and like wins
What's
another.
the first? What was the first day there? So like you fly out there. What you're staying at some hotel, right? I mean, like you got your fucking knives all laid out and shit. You're ready to go. I mean, like, were you nervous or
Yeah, it was nerve-wracking. And like the
you
very
must
first
have?
thing I did wrong, like completely wrong,
Yeah.
and I had to like do it again.
Oh, you're probably
In my
throwing up.
defense, I was given bad instructions.
Fair
And
enough.
that's where I learned like how important communication was. No, I think the real shocker came like the moment service started, like the first lunch service on the Tuesday. Um, the moment service started, I was like, "What the fuck is this restaurant?" Like, first of all, the kitchen isn't even set up in the way that like any other kitchen. You have like 4 tables in a big square room, and like no one's actually cooking. Everyone's like assembling stuff, but then it's like you know, Dan screams in like a huge booming voice, like 2 and 1 4, and like everyone's like, yeah, and like people just start
Jesus.
running around, and it just looks like chaos. Like to an outsider, you're like, this does not make any sense at all. Like it looks like a battlefield. And I like got so like flustered, I just stood up against the wall. And then 2 seconds later, there was like a problem on my section that someone else had like created, and like another sous chef was like, "Why the fuck you just standing in the way? If you're not gonna fucking do anything, like get upstairs." And I was just like, "Okay, this is where I am."
Holy shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but you either sink or you swim.
Wow. Yep.
And I treaded water basically. You got to remember, I was the sous chef at Canada's restaurant. I was the sous chef at Canada's best restaurant, and I was hired there as at like the bottom of the ladder, as like you're gonna do prep on the cold section. And like fine, fair enough. But I treaded water there for a good like 7-8 months. Then we went to Japan.
Well, wait, hold on. So 2 weeks you make this lamb tartare, and they're like, David, we love you, bud. Why don't you come work for us for a little
Yeah,
bit?
yeah, yeah.
And then you start cooking, and then it starts getting
I went back to Canada. I moved back like the next month. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And what, got a little apartment or something? And are you a single man? What are you doing? Or is this David just doing his own world here?
I was single.
Yep.
Not even an apartment. I was renting basically the walk-in closet of like an elderly grandma who lived nearby
Perfect.
to Noma, so it was like a short
Price
jaunt
is
to
right.
work. It was like $1,000 a month. Like it's
Yeah.
that's Copenhagen prices.
It's
I was
Copenhagen.
I was single, and then but you're like working like 18 hours a day minimum. I had no life. And like I was working 6 days a week, and like
It's
on
brutal,
Sunday
man.
you're just wrecked. You get off work at like 2 a.m. on Sundays after deep clean and after projects. It was just like, yeah, it was. I had no life.
That is your life.
It's funny because I like scroll through my phone to that time, and I'm like, oh, what, like, do I have any photos or memories? And it's just like, nope. It's like
Just work.
nothing. It's just work.
And exhausting. I mean,
Yeah.
I've done some bad jobs, I shouldn't say bad, some some hard jobs, like roofing a house or paving a road or, digging holes and shit like that. And that's like, obvious manual labor. It's hard. But I tell you what, working in a kitchen for, I mean, hell, 8 hours, let alone 18 or whatever the heck people are doing. So 10 out, whatever it is, it's exhausting. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's tough work, man. And
Yeah, but it's also
I'm a
like a
tall
mental
fella.
exhaustion. And
Oh
especially at
yeah.
that level, you're thinking, your brain is constantly like locked in, and if you
So you're
don't,
on
you make a
these
mistake
I've
and you hear
never
about it.
eaten at Noma. I've never been. I always wanted to get out there. But so you're
You
this
should come.
style of,
You should come.
yeah, yeah.
They're
I
still
would love
open.
to. Yeah, I
The
would love to
rumors
come
of
out
their
there.
death have been greatly exaggerated. They're still open.
And there's a lot of other cool stuff going on in that area of the world. It sure seems as well.
I'll eat with you.
And Dave lives there.
Yeah, come. Let's go together. I haven't been in
That
a
would
long
be
time.
that'd be fun. But what I'm getting at, so they're cooking in this crazy style, right? It's like this all-star globe-trotter team of chefs getting together, like a bunch of psychopaths, and with, I mean, what are the ingredients just out of control? I mean, talk to me. I mean, was it all the hype that it seemed to be? I mean, were you like, what the fuck am I doing here, or was it like, giddy up, like, holy, this is it?
It was all of that at
Oh
once.
yeah.
It was a lot of unlearning. Like, it's like, oh great, I just spent a decade in like great restaurants in Canada to like have none of that be applicable here, other than like how you think about working, other than your work ethic. You're like cooking with like elm seeds and weeds and stuff, and you're like, oh, I didn't know that you could eat dandelion greens. Sure, let's grill them and glaze them in. Oh, what's this? A fudge made of dried scallops and wax? Okay, that's weird. On top of all of the weird shit that was pouring out of the fermentation lab that at that time felt like an ivory tower. Like, because
Right.
it was Lars Williams and Ariel Johnson just in there with a few interns. And they would just like drop stuff off and be like, hey, we're cooking with potato miso for this new dish. You're like, what?
So those two people, they were, when you got there, had a fermentation little dungeon going already.
Yeah, it was really truly a dungeon when I first started.
Yeah.
Like literally, like I found a photo of it on my phone from the other day. And I'm like, if the health department ever saw this, like Noma would be closed retroactive, like for like
Yeah.
crimes committed
Someone's
10
going to
years ago.
jail.
So no, but the year I started, in that summer, they built the fermentation lab in the parking lot out of shipping containers. It was like very DIY. It was done on the cheap. They basically turned a reefer truck shipping containers into these kind of like climate controlled rooms. And
Right.
then there was a little office upstairs that had like a very rudimentary kitchen. And so that was going on while I was in the kitchen. And like yeah, you had no idea about like what was happening in there. If you were new, if you were an intern, you're just like, weird stuff shows up and I cook with it.
And
And
were
sure,
those
like strawberry kombucha's on the menu now. Great.
right. And it's all, yeah, exactly. And I mean, it was two guys that were working in there, you said?
Ariel was and still is a woman.
Okay, sorry. Sorry.
No, but she was a flavor scientist.
Okay.
And
So we
she
got
had
some
come
smart
in
cookies
through,
in there
yeah,
doing their
yeah.
thing.
She's Dr. Ariel Johnson.
Yeah.
I'm gonna plug her book Flavorama for anyone who is listening
Please.
who does not have it. Buy it because it is one of the best hybrid cookbook textbooks in existence about like the science of food.
And
I'll say that.
what were their names again? Sorry, one more time.
Ariel Johnson
Mhm.
and Lars Williams, and then Lars has Empirical Spirits based out of Brooklyn now. This,
Amazing.
distillery.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So those two folks are in there, and were you kind of drawn to like, hey, these guys, they're off the line. They're in their own little lab coming out with like these funky flavors and chestnut shoyu or I mean, what, like different, I don't even know if that was something you guys did. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like all these different things coming out of there that you guys get to go, they're making some exotic paint and then you guys get to just paint with it. Did you want to?
Yeah, but to like the cooks in the kitchen, it's not like paint like, oh, I'm Michelangelo. It's more like you roofing and you're like, great, I'm painting this house. This is like repetitive work with an amazing ingredient.
Okay.
Like you
Gotcha,
don't get
right.
to think about it that way. Like it was the guys in
Okay.
the actual, like it was the guys working with Renee in the test kitchen who got to like design the menu and do like, oh, we're going to do a new potato serving. Let's find the best.
So
miso
that's
patch
where
for
you
this.
wanted to get.
I don't know. At that point, I think I was having such a rough time at Noma. I was like, again, trying to keep my head above water, and I was like, if I do 2 years, that looks good on a resume. Like, I will survive
Gotcha.
this. I will go back to Canada. I had a friend who's got like a mini restaurant empire now in Toronto, and he had offered me. He's like, hey, come open a new one with me, and it can be yours. And that was my plan. Then we go to Japan. The whole kitchen gets shuffled. So we went. The Noma's been to Japan like 3 times now. I was there for the first round in Tokyo, at the Mandarin Oriental. The whole kitchen got shuffled, like it had to. Um, and then I was just in a different position, with working with different people, and like all of a sudden it was like, oh, I can do this. And then you
Now,
realize
did
like,
did Noma close in Copenhagen?
yeah, yeah, it was
Okay,
not
so it
open.
just
Yeah,
transplanted, picked up.
yeah, whole staff moved. 100% of the staff moved. Um,
Sheesh.
And in Japan, I was like, oh, I can do this. And like the funny thing was that like everyone in Japan was like, whoa, Japan is way harder than Copenhagen. I'm like, not for me. This is way easier than my job was back home. And it was just
How
kind of,
come?
it's just, yeah, it's like kitchen politics,
Different
you know?
vibe.
Yeah, it was just a different setup. And then like who you're working with and like how they treat people beneath them and stuff. And I just ended up working with the sous chef who was a lot more fair about the distribution of work. And
Gotcha.
like some of the jobs were like, I'm not saying that was easy. It was some like they were very laborious jobs, but in a different way.
Gotcha.
Um, and it just worked better for me. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, Dave's not such a bad cook. Like he can do this fine.
It's kind of like school, right? Like actually really good at what we're talking about and trying to learn, but school was not it. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of
Yeah. And then we went back to Copenhagen, and then Dan put me on the grill, and that's like the most fun I think I ever had cooking at Noma. Um, that was a section you're working a Josper and like multiple Webers outside in your own little space. Like whatever screaming is happening inside, you don't get to deal with.
I like
You're
that.
you're out, and you have like a roof over your head, rain or
Cook the meat,
shine,
cook the food.
charcoal. You're smoking stuff for the whole restaurant.
I like that.
And I never worked a charcoal grill before, but like I like very quickly mastered live fire. Again, this kind of like do a thing, see a result. Like
Yep.
when you work with fire, when you start cooking with fire like that, it's alive. It is alive.
100%.
You very quickly understand like what it needs, how it breathes, what its requirements are, how you need to set up your station to be a success. And like I did a really great job there. And so like Dan again took note and was like, all right, Dave can cook. Like Dave can actually cook. He's doing a good job.
Great.
And I had like, again, this whole time I'm reading in my free time, like reading books about physics and cosmology and biology, and it's just this has always been my pastime. And there are a few instances I remember where I had like smart ass answers to like questions that were just kind of thrown out into the ether. A sous chef might be like, "Oh, why the fuck did this like turn black?" I'm like, "Oh, it oxidized because there was too much room in the container, and it's gonna discolor if it should have been vacuum sealed." And they're like, "Huh?" Or it's like, it's like someone was like, "Oh, the bone marrow isn't caramelizing well," and then the next day I'd go onto the grill, and I'd like pre-dry it and like get like a creme brulee glass finish on it, and then I would take it in and Dan would be like, "How'd you do this?" Like I thought there was a problem with the recipe. I'm like, "Oh no, well like a fat cell is like." It's like a water suspension in between these adipose layers. And so if you remove the water and you like just dry it 3 hours before service, you're going to trap the sugar molecules in there, and then they're going to have no problem like caramelizing in like at high heat. Like you're not going to have that water buffer. And he's like, what? And
Yeah,
so
what
I
the
started,
fuck, Dave?
and this is what I mean. It's like, you don't know the ways that like learning about the world will pay you back. It's like how like opportunity favors a prepared mind sort of thing. It was shortly after that I was offered this position in the lab to help support Lars and Ariel. They're like, Dan sits me down one day after service. I thought I'm getting fired. And he's like, they need some help in there. They're always getting pulled all sorts of directions. And they just need someone to like lock in production. And you're the guy for the job. And in that moment, it was like a fork in the road. Like in my brain, it was like your whole life flashes before your eyes like a shitty movie. And it's like, whoosh, 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 whoosh. I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And it came with a 3-year commitment. I had just started dating my girlfriend back then, my baby mama. And I remember that night I like texted her And I'm like, hey, she was living in Sweden at the time. We were long distance. And I'm like, hey, want to move to Copenhagen and start like your handbag brand and have the world's most beautiful mixed babies, and I can work in the lab and we can live a happy life together forever. And all of that came true, which was kind of fun.
Oh,
Um,
good for you, man.
yeah,
Amazing.
it's
So
what Oprah calls the secret.
yes. Man, so you get into the lab, and that's where this fork in the road to what this 3-year commitment, and that sounds like
That turned into like
from
5 years or 6 years after that, by that point.
sure,
Yeah.
but like that sounds like kind of the perfect. And again, you didn't maybe know it at the time, right? Which is maybe a good thing, maybe not. But like having this scientific kind of brain and this thirst for knowledge and understanding, which actually applies to food science, and like you said, like why things will caramelize and why the one thing was oxidized, and under that really is kind of, it seems like the perfect step for you and your brain and personality, having this big foundation of cooking and this passion for information to kind of apply it into this world of fermentation. And I mean, talk about a rabbit hole, my God, of
Hmm.
microbiology and I mean, for who knows what you could be looking into outer space when you're looking into those things. I
Yeah.
don't even know what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And I mean, to their credit, Lars and Ariel were fantastic teachers, but also worked really well. Like I was really quick to like connect the dots. I remember the first time Ariel teaching me about like enzymes. She's like, okay, so Koji makes, these enzymes. There's amylase, and that breaks down starch. And then it also produces protease. And I'm like, and that breaks down proteins. And she's like, oh, yeah. Have you read about this before? I'm like, no, but I mean, the words make sense. Like, I guess ase is an enzyme, and then like, so she's like, yeah. And she's like, and lipase. And I'm like, lipids. And she's like, bingo. So it was like stuff like that where, like, again, this kind of base of knowledge about like a bunch of weird, like maybe that came from a book on language. And like,
Right.
you
It
know,
just clicked.
that allowed me to dive in and just become a sponge in there. Um,
Yeah, and so let's talk to me a little bit about that, man. So big different change of pace from just working inside the restaurant, right?
yeah, I didn't work service anymore. That was
Yeah,
crazy. that
some
was
amazing.
I got sucked in a lot. Like eventually something would go wrong. They'd be like, "Dave, get in here," and
Right.
that's fine. That's the nature of the beast. But I didn't work service. And yeah, the first year in the lab there, I managed production. I got to do any sorts of like weird experiments I want. Lars would give me projects. He's like, make the best barley sake you can. That was like one of the first things I did. And I could not make a good barley sake. And that's okay. Like that was like failure is part of the job,
Science. Yeah,
you know?
learning.
At the end of the day, like just the conditions in the restaurant weren't sterile enough to do that really, really well. And we kind of understood that after we started, like Ariel would come in, she'd be like, yeah, but there's like this yeast growing in this and there's no way to get that out in like a setting like this. I'm like, okay. So we scrapped the project, but we take the learnings and like turn it into something else. And he's like, why don't you take this and then like ferment the rest into vinegar? Okay, we did that. You get like an okay barley vinegar, whatever it might be.
How much made it to the plate that you guys were like experimenting with? I mean, a lot of it. Not
I
everything's a home run.
Yeah, no, I would say less than like 3% of our
Wow.
projects would end up on a dish. There's also like a historicity to it, There's like you come up with piso the first time, like you come up with pea miso made of like Nordic ingredients the first time, and it's like it makes such an impression on people. And like Renee, it's like that just like the recipe for that has not changed
Right.
in probably like 15 years. And it's
Right.
used
No
as like the
reason.
base. It becomes a mother sauce, you know? It's like no one's out there trying to reinvent bechamel. The kind of
Right.
same
Right.
was
Right.
true for like a lot of these ferments that were developed, kind of around like just before like when I started in the lab. Um, I'd have a few home runs in my time. Chicken wing garum is one I was particularly fond of.
Chicken
Um,
wing.
yeah, yeah,
Oh, cool.
because we had garums and like beef garum was really good. We had a squid garum, and I'm like, okay, but what's like the tastiest cut of meat? Period. I'm like, it's a chicken wing. It just is.
Yeah.
Like there might be
Yeah.
good
It
cuts of
is.
meat, but I would say
The
if you ask
wing
me
is.
what is tastier, a chicken wing or beef tenderloin, I pick the chicken wing every time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
No.
what if
It's.
we made a
it's
garum out of just that? And it was legitimately fucking delicious. Um, and all sorts of stuff. Oh.
Are you doing it with raw chicken then?
No, I roasted it.
You
I
roasted it, yeah.
basically like almost fried them in their own fat and then just like drained them and then chopped them up. But I did a lot of trials. I found the best way to make chicken wing garum,
Okay.
and it was using cooked roasted chicken wings.
So a hard roast on that
Yeah,
big Maillard, right? You know, a lot of flavor and
yeah, like
dark
crackling
dark
skin.
color.
Yeah, lots of fat would come off during the ferment, and you'd have to skim it every day.
Sounds
So
sounds
it
good.
can
And then
get
from there, you
hmm
take the meat and
and the
what
bones. Just
and
like
the whole
hack it to
thing.
shit with a cleaver.
Just put it in a
Then mix it
grinder
with
for
the
God's
koji and
sakes. Yeah.
salt. hmm
Koji and salt
Yeah, and water.
and what? And water.
Yeah.
How long?
And then we would ferment that for, I think, around 30. I think it was a short ferment. I think it was around 30 days at 60 degrees.
60 degrees. And
And like,
everything's in like a, you're doing everything. I mean, we're talking a lab here, Brad. What are we talking about? Everything's in a temperature controlled, its own little vat of perfect temperature. Like, are you doing everything in its own little incubatory type of thing?
no,
Or
we had like these big, basically like the size of a small walk-in fridge. We had all these, we had basically 6 or 7 different climate-controlled rooms.
Okay.
So they're all insulated. And then
Right.
you could walk inside them and then drop off a bucket of like, again, like 30 liters and let that go
And
for a while.
would you have, right. And so you'd have one set at 70 degrees Fahrenheit, one at what? So it's just different types of fermentations are going to want different
Yeah.
atmospheres.
60 was the hottest.
60 was the hottest.
Yeah,
Okay,
we would have a
70 we're
koji
cooking.
room that was usually around 28 or 32 degrees.
Celsius.
Yeah, Celsius. You know, the miso room was a little bit warm, like not room temperature, it was maybe like 26 or 27 degrees to kind of emulate Japanese summer so the ferments went quickly. The vinegar
Would
room
you ever have
was a bit slower.
Would you ever have problems with cross contamination of projects in one room? Say if in the 60-degree room you had, and again, maybe this doesn't make sense, but stay with me for the sake. You had a kimchi and you had a kombucha and you had a whatever, different types of microorganisms, and again, that might not be true, but different types of stuff going on. Would they ever like jump vessel?
Not in that way. I think that we had bigger problems with like just wild microbes. Just getting the flavor of like mousiness or like Brettanomyces in something. And those were things to like troubleshoot and problem solve as well. And that just comes from working in like a less than sterile environment. That's just wild fermentation.
It's just everywhere.
Yeah. Everything is everywhere, but the environment selects. That's Bass-Becking. That's like a gem of microbiological knowledge for you.
And it's just whatever can thrive will.
Yeah. Life finds a way. That's Jeff Goldblum. But yeah, so it's that was less of a problem. And it's like you have buckets, they have lids on them. Anything that we were doing lactic ferments, we would do sous vide in bags. And so those were in self-contained environments.
And why the
vinegar
sous vide
room was
is
pretty
just
harsh.
Just super consistent.
Yeah, very precise. Like very precise. We didn't mess around with brine fermentation a lot, actually. There were a few things that were brine fermented. White asparagus we would do. I did. Unripe figs were amazing. Oh, that was cool. We used to do, like,
asparagus
grapes.
ferments pretty cool, pretty well.
I prefer white asparagus over green asparagus fermented, but both ferment very well.
Less stinky, or
the white asparagus ends up being like a really crisp and refreshing pickle. The green asparagus ends up tasting a little bit like muddy chlorophyll. But if you catch it when it's young and you put it in the fridge right away, you end up with something with like a lot of snap and it's still
man.
fresh.
Because over here I'm in New England, right in Connecticut, on the border of Rhode Island on the coast, and when I first moved here 4 years ago, I planted a pretty nice patch of asparagus, and you're supposed to let them go for a few years to really establish. But last year and this year, I really started picking them. Anyway, right now I'm really enjoying them, man, and like they're so phenomenal when you get them right out of the ground.
Yes.
Like ones that are thick that people like, I'll use my mom for an example. She would always want the thin ones. The thick ones are always woody. And man, I tell you what, it's the opposite. Those thick ones, it's like biting into a fucking apple. They're like, it's one of a fresh asparagus in the spring is one of the joys of seasonality. It really is a shocking treat.
Yeah.
That's why I asked, because I got a bunch of them now.
No, you're totally right. And I think one of the suppliers from Noma, one of the farmers that I became like closest with in my time there, was our asparagus farmer, who was just this anarchist Dane who just had the most insane fields. And he
So,
specialized in growing white asparagus. And so I would go up to his farm once a year to help him. We would do the pickle white asparagus for Noma. And I'm talking like the big blue olive drums.
wow,
Um, we would do like 4 or 5 of them, and I would go up and ferment
delicious.
with him.
So with the white asparagus, what do they do? Just kind of choke it out from sunlight?
Yeah.
Put a tent or bury it with soil
Yeah, it's
or
buried.
something?
It's buried in the mound, and so you
Okay,
have these
okay.
extra tall furrows, and so like the asparagus is struggling to push up, and then you keep filling it
Chasing the
up.
sun.
Yeah, exactly, and then it
Right.
develops albino, like forest
Right,
rhubarb
right.
or whatever.
Okay, so it's just a normal green or purple or whatever asparagus.
Yeah, if it breaks ground, it will start going green.
Oh, interesting.
It's not like a
Oh,
different.
interesting,
I don't
David.
believe it's
So
a different species. Maybe there's cultivars and varieties, but that is the technique. It's like an endive, you know. You have to grow it in the dark.
right, yep. So maybe I'll start. Maybe I'll experiment with one of the clusters.
Yeah, try. Do not quote me on that. Do not
No, I would
like if there's a
never.
asparagus farmer listening, I'm sorry if I'm getting your
They
science wrong,
can
but
calm right the hell down because
yeah,
it makes a lot of sense in my brain.
meant to.
So Noma, man, and then so running that for a while, and then that leads to what? I mean, you guys wrote that, but did you write that the book of fermentation at Noma? Did you write that with Renee, or was that a solo, or
I
was
mean,
that
it's
a
Renee's restaurant.
right?
I don't
Okay,
feel bad about it because in an interview at
say
some
no
point,
more.
Renee's like, David wrote the book.
Right,
Like
right.
I was around, but like David wrote it, and it is true.
Gotcha. Okay,
But
cool.
like, of course, it's the restaurant's recipes. It's Renee's restaurant. We're co-authors.
How long did that hammer of a encyclopedia take you to make? A
That
couple of
was
years.
Nope. It took like it was very weird. Renee just came into the lab one day while Lars was still there before he resigned. And it's like, we need to write a book. We need to plant the flag of fermentation in the ground. And then Lars, in his mind, I think was like, I'm about to hand in my notice. He's like, Dave has a great writing voice. Dave should write it. Dave is good at writing recipes.
He was great.
And I
at
was
writing.
like, what? I just got here. I've been here for like, to be honest, I'd been in the lab when I was asked to write the book. I had been in the lab for a year, maybe. That feels fraudulent. But you know what they say? They say if you want to learn a lot about a topic, write a book about it. And that's exactly
Right,
what I
sure.
did. I felt like such a weight on my shoulders to like not get it wrong that I just like buried myself in it. But
Yeah,
I pushed
sounds
through it
like
really
it.
fast. I did.
So yeah, the book, man, that sounded like it was. What you had all this? Did you shoot it all there?
Yes.
So it just became a factory. So you probably just cranked this thing out like a psycho.
Yeah, but we had, I mean, Evan Sung, who's a really fantastic food photographer. He works with 11 Madison Park a lot now. Could only fly out for like 2 weeks, or like that's what we had as a budget. So I had to do all the ferments like Magic of Television style, like in triplicate or like quadruplicate, so that we
That
could
gives
just
me.
like
That
on a
makes
shoot
my
day.
skin feel funny, Dave. Like having to, I have a hard time doing videos where it's like with ferments because like you know how everything it doesn't care about your schedule
No,
or this and that. It's just like it's that sounds like a fucking oh my god. Did
you
you
just have
have
to,
some good help?
you had to be organized. I did have good interns at the time. You just had to be organized. But it was
God bless you.
it was like a schedule. I was like there like on the day to be like, okay, we need the shot of
Shot
this
list.
miso at like 1 month at like,
Yeah,
2
you
weeks
got to
and
be squared
whatever.
away.
So you just
Well, it's an amazing book, man. And for anyone listening, if you do, like I said, it's an encyclopedia of information on there, and just a really, really amazing book. So thank you for putting it together and being organized and crazy enough to do it, because we all love it, and thank you
yeah.
for it.
Cheers.
So heck yeah, man. So now, right? You don't work at Noma anymore, right? Correct me if I'm
No,
wrong.
no, I hung up that apron in 2020 when the world was topsy turvy, and to be fair, the restaurant was closed. It had been closed for like months, and then we opened up this burger pop up, and then I was like, this is not gonna be smooth. And I put in my time. I think it was like 6.5 years by this point. It was like summer
It's a lot.
2020, and Yeah, and I had no idea what I was gonna do, but I'm like, it's time. Like 6 years in Noma feels
And
like
at that
18,
time,
to be
yeah,
honest.
oh my
So
God, I'd probably age you like a president. I see you got a little gray going in your curls there, bud. You look like a little
uh,
Andre 3000 kind of
little
vibe going,
little
right? You
little
look great,
Barack,
Dave.
little
You
Barack
got a little
Obama.
little Missoni sweater on, bud. You look great. Man, you've
Um,
always been a fashionable fella.
thank you, bro. I'll take the
Yeah.
compliment.
So you mentioned before that you have a child and the girl that you dated a while back from Sweden. And I hope I'm not screwing this up, but is she now currently the woman in your life,
She
the
is.
mother of your child? You have
She
one
is the
kid?
mother of my child. One. Yes, I have one child.
Your little daughter, you said, right?
He's a boy with a girl's name, but
Yeah.
it's a
Okay.
very
Wonderful. I
he's like Sue. He's like Sue from that Johnny Cash song.
love that.
But he has a very obscure girl's name. He has an ancient
Was
Greek name. Uh,
Ooh, do you mind sharing? You don't have
yeah,
to.
his name is Io.
Ooh, I like that. That's not that's not, it doesn't scream, I don't know, whatever that means, but it doesn't scream like, I wouldn't know if that was a boy or a girl.
Yeah,
That's a
exactly.
pretty
See, that's why it works. That's why it
I
works.
like that. Strong.
And thankfully for him, Io Adebri has like now, even though it's a different spelling, has like normalized his name, so he doesn't have to be the weird one at daycare.
Yeah, yeah. You got that
It's
covered.
not like I've named him
We're
like
good.
Spatula or something.
How's fatherhood treating you, man?
It's everything. You know this.
Yeah.
I love
Yeah.
talking to other parents, and sorry to all the single people, childless people
Yeah,
listening, because
whatever.
like parents will do parent things. But like, I love talking to parents because you just know you're like, oh, how's parent? Yeah, it's everything, and you know
It
exactly
is.
what I mean.
It,
It's
it
like,
it's the full spectrum, man. I got two young boys and 2 years apart, and it is. I think that's the best way to put it. It literally is everything.
yeah,
It's
it
from A
is.
to Z, fucking hot to cold, bad to good, you name it.
Yeah, you've never felt yourself get angrier. You've never felt yourself get like more
Love.
frustrated. You never felt yourself like with less patience.
Oh my
And then
god.
you've also like never like thought that someone drawing like a bad picture of a dog could make you cry. You
Oh,
know,
like
it's
put it in
like,
a frame and wow,
yeah,
you
it's like,
cry.
wow, this is so shitty. Like this is barely recognizable as an animal, and I'm in tears because
It's the
you have
best.
grown from nothing and are like developing into a full
It's
human
the
being.
best. It's like it's almost scary how
Yeah,
good it is, you know,
yeah,
and how fragile it is. And not to get dark on you, but I always can't help it. Like how fragile and how fortunate we are even up just to date, right? And how many people have such bad, get that experience robbed from them, and robbed is not the right word, but have a much different experience with kids that man, so many bad things happen every day to people, and it's just like we're in this bubble that's really working. And I try to, it humbles me, and I fail because I still get mad and fucking whatever. And but it does keep me in check. Like man, like it's things are going really good right now. Try to just keep that vibe alive because there are people that would give both their legs for your problems,
yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely. Yeah, I tell it to myself, you know, all the time. It's like, you know, when you have a bad day or whatever, like
ain't that bad.
it's a huge dose of perspective to be like, this kid, like his life and my role as his parent, like our life, like I'm not like rich, you know, I live in a rental, you know, it's like I take the bus to work.
Right.
It but we live better than like 99.99% of humans who have ever lived.
No doubt.
Like
Hands
we are
down.
not fearful for our lives here in Denmark. Like we're not dying of diseases, and
No.
the fucking child mortality is at an all-time low. You know, it's like
Yeah,
it
I'm making YouTube videos and talking to you on a computer screen,
yeah.
wearing shorts. It's like, and it is. It's never been a better time. I think so too. I mean, in a way, right? I mean, I'm sure there's some pros and cons, but
And
yeah,
there's definitely things
hard,
to work on. It's not
right,
the job isn't finished, you know.
right.
Like we're not being complacent here, but yeah, no, it does take. It is easy to lose yourself in the noise, and you know, forget what you do have. I think
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah,
I'll
man.
say that.
Kids, life, it's a journey, man, and it's awesome. How I turned 40 in in 16 days.
Yo, we're 85. You're the ox. You and me. There we
Yeah,
go. I'm
that's
November,
right,
but
bud.
I'm right behind you. I'm bringing up the
Oh, right
rear.
on, man. Um, and it's like this weird mental thing. Like it's not just like I'm aware of age and mortality, but it's like now it's like this like feeling, and I think it's not even so much tied into my personal age. Because like if I'm a lunatic, if I was just if I didn't have a wife and kids, like I might as well just be a cooler, smarter 20-year-old version of myself. You know what I mean? I'm just better than I'm getting better every day. But like when having kids and stuff, I think that's what really kind of set it in, that like you can see like they're growing,
Yeah.
and
Before, when Matilda was pregnant, when my girlfriend was pregnant with Io, I had this, he's like an Icelandic DJ friend of mine. And he's like, when that kid gets born, time will start fucking with you hard.
oh my God, dude.
And I'm
It's
like, what are you
so
talking
real.
about?
Yeah, shut up.
And now I know. Now I know.
Sheesh. How old is your son?
He is 3 in July. How old are your boys?
And they're both born. Oh my God! So the birthdays are May 2nd and May 3rd, tomorrow and the next day, and they turn 9 and 7.
Okay, that's a good split. That's a good
Oh,
split.
they're fun, man.
Yeah.
It's big personalities, and
Mhm.
just it's a blast, man.
Oh, you are their
Oh,
father.
enough about those little lunatics. They're so funny. Kids, like I travel a decent amount, or even like when they go to school, it's like you get so frustrated, and it's like, man, I can't wait till they go to bed, or like, you know what I mean. But like as soon as I leave, or if I go on a trip, it's just like it like punches me in this. I need to keep busy. Like I don't want any downtime on a work trip, because I just start being like, what a loser. Why am I like doing this, like, and not bringing my kids with me or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing? So it's funny how quick you can miss them.
Yeah. No, but
But any hoot, David, what do you got going on over in beautiful Copenhagen nowadays? But what's going on in the world now? Post Noma, I mean, you're a busy cookie, and people are probably throwing themselves at you.
Now I work part-time. I do have a day job, which is nice for like a bit of financial stability.
Love that.
It is Monday to Wednesday, and I am a food scientist now. That's
Yeah, yeah.
they called me that, not me. I didn't be like, call me. No, they're like, you're a fermented foods application scientist. That's what
Yeah,
you
you
do.
bet your dick you are, David. Let's not fool around here, bud.
So the company is called Novonesis.
Okay.
And it was made, yeah, it's a weird name, Novonesis, but this is like in the larger connected web of like Danish bioscience companies.
Yeah.
That is historically related to Novo Nordisk, the makers of like Ozempic.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what are you making now, bud?
Not
you
that.
working for the dark side, or what are we doing?
I'm trying to make the dark side better.
Yes.
So I am in the funny position where like the stuff that comes across my desk is like, oh, how can we clean up this ingredient label? Or like, hey, we're a giant food manufacturer and we would like to make our food healthier. Can we ferment?
Amazing, Dave. Oh, you're on the cutting edge
out
of change.
the sugar? Or like, can we put probiotics into this? And I mean, it is food industry is wild and
Insane.
It is
Huge.
dark, and there's a lot of closed doors. But there's not a day where I'm going to work and I'm like, oh, I'm not like I'm doing something evil. Like I'd never think that ever.
No, it doesn't sound like it. I mean, I always thought, hell, I wanted to be a cop when I was younger for about 6 months, because all of my experiences with cops were bad. And I was like, I really thought, it sounds so cheesy, but I really thought I could like make a difference in some kids' lives, being like a good cop. But I think that kind of applies to like, I think that's how the change that needs to be made, in my opinion, is gonna get done in at least in one way effectively, is to work with companies that are willing to try to want to make changes in the right direction, and having people like yourself that can kind of help guide that and put the knowledge into it, to where it can listen, we can make fruity pebbles and they don't have to, make your fucking brain haywire or something. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to use all these synthetic. I don't know. Yeah, I guess you can make things. Maybe is that what you kind of do? It sounds like, right?
That's I try to help companies make their foods delicious and healthier.
Yeah,
Through
amen. Let's give it
fermentation.
a round of applause for that.
Yeah. Cheers. The company that I work for has it again. It's a new company that's only like a year or two old because it is the resultant company of a merger of two very old Danish companies. One of the companies was called Novozymes, and that was the person who founded that company also founded Novo Nordisk. And the other company was called Christian Hansen. And when I was talking to you about my role as a butcher and those little silver packets of bacteria, Bactofirm that I'd pull out of the freezer, that was the
Came
company
from
that would make that. And so it's kind of full
Gotcha.
circle for me. But that was a company that was founded in like 1850
Oh
and
wow.
revolutionized the cheese industry by standardizing rennet. And then they got progressively more and more into cheese microbiology and producing cultures for cheese, and then all sorts of fermented foods from like beer to wine, to bread, to sausages,
Man,
salamis, things like that.
regular old baron of industry over there. That them guys, huh? They've been
Yeah.
yeah.
And yeah, it's like I remember like when I first got the job and I was talking about it. I was on a panel. I think it was the first time I was like talking about it publicly. I was on a panel with Sandor Katz,
The great
and
Sandor Cats.
yeah, and he's like, "You're doing what now?" And it is true. It is true. Like it is the other end of the spectrum. It is responsible for the narrowing of diversity in like the landscape of fermented foods. It's like if you want to make like lab grown cultures, there is a limit to the number of species you can throw into a package before you end up with a product you cannot predict the outcome of. It is chaos theory. It is Jeff Goldblum once again. I'm not joking. And I'm like, yes, I understand that. And you know, it's maybe there's a bit of hypocrisy or contradiction in the fact that I also teach workshops and like teach university students how to ferment sauerkraut at home, you know, in the other 2 days a week.
Right, right.
Um, I've also been in sessions where, you know, a medium-sized food producer, like not a giant of industry, but someone that's like serving locally in Sweden or Germany is like, hey, we really need your help. We lost 2 tons of kimchi. And it all went mushy and we had to throw everything out. It was unsellable. Like it got contaminated and we can't have that happen again because we'll go bankrupt. And we're
Right.
just trying to serve our local community. It's like there is it. I think it's a naive and myopic take to not understand that the way that the world is set up with like over half of humanity living in urban centers that needs to for all those people to exist, like you need industrial agriculture. Like that's not a non-starter.
100%.
As I understand it, it's like you need to make out industrial agriculture as sustainable and good as possible, and to make the foods produced in industrial systems as good as they can be and as sustainable as they can be and as healthy as they can be by relying on living processes and relying on bacteria and fungi to do the heavy
I think
lifting.
you're in the perfect spot, David, for your skill set and passions outside of, you know, that next chapter from restaurants and that kind of product and servicey thing into, like, to be honest, the next bigger gear of the engine in the topic, which is like you're saying, like helping where I'm kind of getting from it is like, and which you're qualified very much to do, is to take that knowledge of old world food and with this new emergence of technology and new information that technology and just people have come across in this category of food and science and medicine or whatever and one and the same, and really be able to kind of help this old system come to a new place. You know, I think that's the best case scenario, right? I don't think world hunger and health is going to be everybody, you know, raising chickens and making their own food, right? I just don't think it's a reality.
No,
So
no.
working with these, the hope of companies working with what you're describing instead of just massive, you know, like a lot of companies got away with putting out bad food for a long time and using sketchy ingredients, like criminally, in my opinion, for decades. And you know, hoping that I tip the hat to any big company that sees the pendulum swinging towards that not being a sustainable and a healthy future.
Absolutely.
Yeah, heck yeah, man. And I'm glad that you're working on it because Yeah, you're one of the handful of people I certainly would want to see tasked at it. Now, how do you feel about the future of food and your application of fermentation being applied to it? I mean, you feel pretty positive about the situation now, right?
We have a future in the past. I might be talking about the industrial system at large and making it, working to have it do as little harm as possible to both humans and the planet. Sure, that's one thing, but is it completely sustainable the way it's currently set up?
Yeah,
No, and like it just isn't. It just isn't. Like the clock is ticking, and
yeah.
whatever comes like far down the road, like maybe when my son is a parent, I think one of the most enlightening aspects of fermentation is that like fermentation is sustainability. When you start digging into the history books, when you start looking at like anthropological records of the invention of some of these foods, Fertile Crescent, China, Papua New Guinea, Mesoamerica, like the first civilizations to have arisen on Earth, all of the first agricultural systems fermented their food in some way. And it was done in a way where you couldn't really cheat nature's rate of replacement, but you could hold on to it.
Right.
And
Well, it's interesting, right? So, like you say, like the earliest civilizations were fermenting foods. Now, for health reasons, right? And they probably, I mean, I'm sure they were aware, but not on a molecular level, maybe of what was going on inside them, right? But like also just because we're talking pre-refrigeration, right? You got
yep,
all this food, you got to do something with
it
it.
was necessity. Like milk, for example. I'm working on another book. I just wrapped a chapter on milk, and you could not and I've also hung out with like traditional like pastoralists in like the Balkans, and like roamed with cows and like green hilly mountaintops in Bulgaria. And the thing is like you cannot keep milk fresh if you try. You can only direct it to ends that are beneficial for you like a week from now.
Okay, so it's going to go
So
one of 10 ways, and you
yep.
can navigate it down a road.
Yeah, and you can there's this like meme of this girl at like a county fair, and she's got this stick and she's super locked in, and she's got her like pet pig. Have you seen this girl? This video is so viral, and she's like locked in and she's guiding the pig
Oh
into
yeah,
doing this little
serious
obstacle course.
face,
Yeah, serious.
like pissed.
Yeah. And the
Yep,
pig is doing like this like tap 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 tap
show
tap.
pig.
Yeah, show pig.
Yeah, that
That is
shit
what
freaks me out.
fermentation is, right? Like the pig is gonna go somewhere, and you get to decide where it goes.
You
Or
can
like
dress it up and point it in a direction.
exactly. And so yeah, to what you were talking about, it's like, yeah, these ancient societies, if they wanted to produce their food and hold on to it, they had no choice but to understand how to guide it.
Now, do you think that symbiotic buildup of gut bacteria and fungus and yeast or whatever the heck all one is that something that happened? It's like a chicken or the egg, right? Like, because there's so much in our stomach. Was that just a product of being alive and touching your mouth? Was that, oh, you know what I mean? And then the introduction, we had a lot going on in our guts before we started fermenting food, right? And things just kind of
Also true.
changed with what we ate.
Also true. I did a podcast on this for Stanford, the fermentation and health podcast with Justin Sonnenberg and Elisa Caffrey. And in that episode, I talk about how like 30% of the genera of species of bacteria that live in your mouth are also species that live in fermented foods. Like, and you brush them every day to keep them in check so they don't produce lactic acid that degrades your enamel. But if you like spit into a bucket of grains, they will start to ferment. That's what chicha is, right? Like you
So you got a little,
you chew corn, you chew quinoa, whatever it might be, you spit it back, you get the amylase in your mouth working to break down the starch, but you're also inoculating the
that's your
batch.
starter.
Yeah, with bacteria that will then sour it. Like it is very blurry. It is very blurry. And
Little oral backslop.
yep. But again, it's like, sure, you can't keep milk from going bad once it's outside of a cow, but also like you can't keep yourself sterile if you tried. And so human biology and
It's
microbial
not a
biology
reality.
has co-evolved to find a symbiosis that is fruitful to both parties.
And like, I'm not knocking hand sanitizer, right? It serves its purpose. I use it sometimes in the airport and stuff. But I always did get a kick out of like, all right, you sterilize your hands or whatever, not way. And then like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like a half a second later, it's covered in maybe not harmful stuff, but it's covered in like bacteria and microorganisms again, right? Isn't it like the air is just filled with it?
Yeah.
Kind of
Yeah.
seems
There's
like a
there's there's a lot of studies about this. I mean, in Cooked by Michael Pollan, he talks about Sister Noella, who's probably not too far from here. I think, is she in Vermont?
I
Or
don't
maybe
know.
she's also in New England. This famous nun cheesemaker who makes like Saint Nectaire
Sounds like
cheese.
Vermont. That's some northern
Um,
territory shit.
yeah, but then she has this experiment where, she has a sterilized stainless steel vat, and they dose it with like an attenuated strain of E. coli. And then she has her wooden cheese vat and her wooden tools that are clean, but like not sterilized, and they have grooves, and she makes the cheese in it all the time. She does the same. And then they let the experiment run. And 24 or 48 hours later, like E. coli is blooming in the stainless steel vat, and that population is completely suppressed in the wooden vat, where all of the
It's
cheese
overwhelmed.
microbes have basically called the actual churn in the urn itself their home, So
So the stainless is this petri dish for the E. coli to just take off and thrive in,
it's
right?
like sterilization is like an extinction level event. And so
Right.
if a weed, like if a dandelion seed happens to blow onto that field and there's nothing else there
It's
to
gonna take off.
outcompete it, well, guess what's going to grow?
Right.
So
Right.
yeah,
Right.
there's
Right.
an argument. It's okay to let your kids play around in the mud sometimes.
Oh, you gotta. Yeah.
Yeah,
Heck yeah. I mean, that's part of the reason why we left New York too. Um,
understandable.
yeah, it freaked me out. I remember we were living in Jersey City at the time. It was right before we moved up here. And we got like a nice little 10-acre farm and do a lot of gardening and the kids are playing in the swamp and getting, whatever. And but I remember it freaked me out. We were at this Liberty State Park. Or no, it wasn't Liberty State Park, but whatever. It was at this little park, right? And my son was just starting to like learn how to walk and he was or talking a little bit or whatever, and he stepped out onto the grass and like it like freaked him out, and then we had a little backyard and stuff, but like I was like he's old enough to like he doesn't see it enough
Yeah,
to where the sensation was like it was like he didn't know it was. I was like, we got to get out of here, you
yeah,
know what I mean? Like we got
yeah.
um
Touch grass,
random story,
literally.
yeah, man.
Go touch grass,
Go
little
touch some
Leone.
grass. Go.
Yeah.
And now, I mean, my God, they're my one son, I swear to God, listen, this is disgusting. He like on like a like a planter, like a little a big
Like a potted
bowl.
plant or something.
A potted plant. Thank
Yeah.
you, David. And sometimes they sit on the little dishes, the little
Yeah, they
water
collect the
holders.
water that drains down.
Correct, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I saw my son one time, and in the garden, sometimes I start certain plants and smaller ones before I
Mm-hmm.
transplant them. There was one that was just, we're talking in the middle of the summer, just filled up with some old water, hot, nasty water. Picked it up and drank it like a wildebeest. And
Okay.
man, his gut, man, the kid doesn't really get sick.
The
And
pendulum may have swung too far the other way.
yes, that's a little. I'm not encouraging that. I mean, I think that, but yeah, that's not great. The kid probably could have got sick from that, but we're not encouraging that. But it's something I've seen the kid do, and it's amazing. They're like, I couldn't imagine doing that now. Like,
Yeah, kids are
yeah, I
wild.
don't know where I'm going with that. Sounds like a good way to get sick, to be honest. Um, so now that you're home, man, is it something? I mean, do you do a lot of fermentation at home?
The standards.
Just
I'll
yeah,
ferment
stuff you like
kimchi
eating.
here, pickled jalapenos.
Classics.
I'll bake the occasional loaf of bread. Um.
But no like
What
little
else?
like closet with experiments or something.
No, that's
You're
at work.
good.
That's at
Yeah,
work.
you scratch
And
your itch
it is
elsewhere.
nice that I get like a lab and a test kitchen at the
Yeah.
Nova Nessa's headquarters to like do that stuff.
Stink up your apartment.
Yeah, no, and it's okay. And it's not the same sort of work that I used to do at NOMA. Like, it's far less exploratory and more like it's standard food. It's steak
Science
food.
work.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like here, try 8 different strains of bacteria in like in white cabbage, and it is fun work
Yeah.
for me. Or it's like, hey, like make the best fermented oat drink you possibly can. I'm like, okay, that's a fun challenge.
Yeah.
Um,
Heck yeah.
so it is stuff like that, but no, all the weird experiments live there, and then I take home the leftovers.
Yeah. So you foresee yourself, you're like Copenhagen's home now, right? Yeah. So you don't
Yeah,
see you're happy there. You like
yeah,
it?
I'm here. I'm here. It's good. My kid's in daycare. I can apply for like permanent residence now. I've been here long enough. Yeah, I got like a
Cool.
pension at work. That's weird. As like
The
a
heck
cook to
is
be like,
that?
I have savings for retirement.
Yeah. What is a
You
pen?
know,
They
but
still do
that's
those things?
yeah. What?
I'm just
Yeah.
kidding. I mean,
Yeah.
Noma has pen. Yeah, it's great, man. That's awesome. This
You
is
know,
just a
so
bad joke. But heck, yeah, is there anything that you wanna promote or talk about, or anything you got going on that, or if folks wanna, you got a newsletter of information or something? People that are, I mean, you're an interesting fella, David, and there's a lot going on in that brain of yours.
yeah, I probably
Um,
should have like a Substack or something, but like no, I'm working on
who's
my
got
own
time
stuff
for
and
that?
like I
Instagram?
yeah, I got my Instagram. You can follow me there. I'm always
Yeah,
posting what I'm up to over there. That's
yeah, do
David
that.
David_Zilber.
Zilber, the
Um,
L comes first.
the L comes first.
Yep.
No, you can catch me on Top Chef Canada once a year. Usually airs
Oh,
in
that's right. We're what?
October. That's fun. I'm a judge.
You're a judge on the
Yeah, I'm
show.
a resident judge. I've been doing it for a
Wow.
few seasons now. It's really, really
W-
fun.
What a gig,
Oh,
man.
yeah, it's cool.
Heck yeah. You like doing it?
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot
It's
of
a
fun.
lot
I
of
know
fun.
that you've done a lot of like food TV, but I
No,
enjoy
not
it.
really. Not like that. I'm
Oh, well,
just a
Bon Appetit.
psychopath that,
Like,
yeah, but that's like YouTube, and it was pretty run and gun. I mean, I've done a couple bigger production-y type of like guest appearances or stuff like that, but not too much like TV or anything, more just like crazy person YouTube stuff.
I dig it though.
Yeah,
Um,
thanks, man. But yeah, guys, check out David Zibler on the old Instagram and wherever, and check out the book that he wrote with Noma, because it really is. If you want, it's something you should really have in your arsenal of information. And Dave, you just did a really great job on it. And heck yeah, man! I know you got the babysitter coming, and we've been chatting for a bit, man. And thank you again for your time, man. It was a lot of fun.
it
I
has
hope
been
to
great.
come out and visit you soon, because
Please do.
I
Please
would
do.
genuinely love that. An open door if you make it into the New England, New York area. I would love to have you at the farm or bring you fishing or all of the above.
That would be very fun. That'd be very,
Oh,
very
Dave,
fun.
before I forget, I always
Yes.
like to ask people, it's what I name the segment because I always forget. So it's just something at the end I say, oh, yeah, before I forget. And it's just things that I wanted to ask you before we say toodle oodles to the day here. Just a little, it doesn't have to be a speed answer, but it's just a little fun little riddler, a little speed dating question. You get the
Love
fucking
it.
point here. Rice or wheat if you had to pick for the rest of your life?
Rice.
Yeah, right? Because you can get the noodles.
Yeah.
I love rice. I
Yeah.
eat rice every day.
Yeah. You can do a lot with
Final
it.
answer. You could do a lot with it. And you mentioned you worked at the butcher shop, and it was one of your favorites, one of your favorite jobs, which I think I would love as well too. What was one of your favorite cuts of meat? I could be more specific if you want, but
On
like
what
I
animal?
don't really. Yeah, I know what animal. I get it. All right, so let's just say you chicken wing. You said you loved, which we get.
Mhm.
It's hard to beat that one. Let's go pig real quick. Let's talk about pig.
Secreto.
Phenomenal, right?
Mhm.
For the folks that don't know, where are we cutting that off of?
That is within the fat cap, kind of on the border of the butt and the loin.
Marbly, delicious.
Yeah, it is like it is like the otoro of a pig. This is
Right.
perfect.
Yeah.
And you
You're
don't get
right.
a lot of it, but
But
it's
it's a
great
treat.
what you do get.
Yeah. You're right. That was a good comparison. I like that. And what about on the old beef there?
Beef, there was a cut that we like invented. It is a cut of meat. It's
It's like a
technically
little
the
muscle
rotator
group.
cuff of a cow, which is funny. It's like in the shoulder.
Yeah.
I can't remember what we
Was
called
it like
it.
a weird little flappy muscle?
No, it looked like a tiny tenderloin.
Ooh.
And it would
Ooh,
normally
is it
just get like
good?
ground as chuck. We used to call it the clod hammer because we needed to give it a name.
A
And
clawed hammer
in some
stick.
like ancient book I found like in like an ancient
It's got a
English
Latin
butchery
name or
book.
something. Yeah.
No, it like someone had called it a clod or something, or that region of the cow.
Let's just
Anyway,
call it the
you're
claw.
not going to be able to go to a butcher and order it. Like you have to
Totally.
take apart like a front quarter
A
and find it.
shoulder.
But I really
Just a
like flat iron. I
yep.
really like bavette, and I really like the butcher's tangler or the butcher's tenderloin or hanger steak.
Hanger. Yeah. Well, you named some great ones. Hard to argue that one there, David. And since we're on the topic and it's a lot of fun and you give good answers, what about a fish?
Kama,
What
kama, like
what the heck is that one?
the collar, the
Oh,
fucking
the
the jaw,
collar. Yep.
the jaw.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Oh
nice to have a
yeah.
nice cut of like a center cut piece of halibut or whatever it might be,
Sure.
but
No,
like,
I'm with you. It's like the chicken wing. It's better than
yeah,
where
yeah,
it's
it
like
is.
this like stringy, fatty, darker meat.
Yeah,
Oh God, I
yeah,
love
and you
it.
got to work for it, and it's just
Oh,
like,
and it's sticky.
yeah.
You're
Or
using your
and if you're
fingers.
lucky and like you still get the cheek on there, oh, that is the
Phenomenal.
like the cheek of a fish is like the chicken oyster
It
of a
is.
chick.
It's like that
Like
little back
it's
muscle, the little oyster or the back oyster.
yeah.
You're right, and it's phenomenal. I'm with you too on that one. I'm gonna go cheek. Yeah, yep, hard to beat, man. Cut
Mm-hmm.
right down into that pet. Get a little kiss when I butcher it. I sometimes I'll slice down and I'll grab that little pectoral fin and a
Yeah.
little kiss of belly with it
Yeah.
too.
I know that one. That
Inappropriate.
feels like cheating though. You're like, I shouldn't, but this should be a cut on
No,
its.
it's
You're
fucking
like,
cheating. It's
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 like when
it's a,
you take apart a chicken wing and then you just leave like a whole section of the breast on it on the drum. You're like,
yeah.
I could have, and you're like, I'm just giving myself an excuse to eat more Frank's Red Hot right now.
Right. Now, in the world, before we leave this topic and get you out of here, in the world of a chicken wing, I feel like I know this answer. At least I'd like to believe I know this answer from you. In the chicken wing, we talking drum or flap? If you had to eat them, what
Here,
would
I'll
it?
one up you. I'll one up you.
Oh
Fuck, marry,
gosh.
kill a chicken wing.
Ooh.
Marry the flat, fuck the drum, kill the tip.
Well, yeah. Nailed it. Perfect. We'll take that as an acceptable answer. Did you have one fermentation project that sticks in your mind that was just an absolute horrid nightmare?
Yeah, fermented bear. We tried to turn bear into garum. That was
Oh
bad.
no, huh?
And it was like a bear that we got from Russia through some hunter, and it looked like it had thawed in transport and then been refrozen in like
Do
plastic
you
wrap.
think a bear garum could work? Do you think it sounds like shit might have went wrong in the transportation, in the post-death handling of this animal?
Yes.
Which is where I believe a lot of people have bad experiences with wild game.
Yes. I would agree.
So maybe you were set up for failure on
Yeah,
that one.
no, I've had great bear. I've had really good bear charcuterie before.
But what,
I
it
believe
just
could
stunk,
work.
stunk
It
like
just,
hell, or
but there was also something else growing in there, and it was like it
funk.
was just a
You
bad
know
flavor.
what?
Mhm.
I wonder, David, if the bear's diet was consisting of maybe like for the month before that, it was gorging on like a carcass of a dead caribou or something, as opposed to foraging on berries or just a little bit of a lighter diet. I heard their meat, and it makes sense, really does change in flavor.
I could imagine. And also, like, maybe when you catch, like, maybe you catch a bear right out of hibernation and it, like, its flesh stinks of, like, ketosis or something. I don't know.
Yeah, of like fucking death. Whatever hibernating bears smell like.
Yeah.
All right, last one, David. In Japan, did you have and I hate favorites, but did you have a standout ingredient? I always wanted to go to Japan, and it's one of my favorite types of cuisines, and just like their approach to kind of the simplicity, but not so simple. Long question short. Did you have an ingredient or even a technique that like stuck with you that you either wish you had or still utilize today?
Oof. Duh, fuck, that's a big one. Way to take, like, one of the largest cuisines on earth and be like,
Like, what do you miss right now from Japan? Let's put it that way.
yakitori. I don't know.
Yeah.
I've been looking at those online. I'm like, I want a yakitori grill.
You want it.
I have nowhere to cook in my, like, I don't have a balcony here, but I'm like, I can figure it out.
You can figure it out.
Yeah, just
You want to make some friends, David? You put that little yakitori grill up on the sidewalk. All right.
yeah, it's true.
Just
would be
starts a little
fun.
barbecue, bud. Start a little tradition. I love a tradition, and I could see you starting a little yakitori just for the neighbors and yourself and your family. You know, I don't know what your neighborhood's like. Maybe it's not the kind of place where you want to do this, but
It's not.
I see it's not.
It's not. It's basically I live on like I live on like Copenhagen's like high street. Like
Damn it.
like
Damn it. Maybe you know what maybe you got to do like what like the Latin population does in America, and I love them for it. God bless them. They're
or
the
just
best
like get a
at it.
shopping cart and like a sheet pan and just like
Just go
post up
cook in
on
a
it.
fucking park or something.
Yeah.
You know, bring the whole family.
Yeah. That would
I
be
love
fun.
that shit.
That would
man.
be fun.
But I wish you had a little yakitori grill for yourself, bud. I recently got one, and the grilling season is upon me, and it's something I really am looking forward to doing myself. Dave, thanks for chatting, man. It's been a freaking
Thank you,
blast.
Brad. It's been
And,
absolute pleasure. This trip down memory lane for me, and like
Down
hearing
David,
about.
yeah, it was.
No, it's like, yeah, no, it's really fun combo.
Well, I'm happy
Appreciate
for
it.
you, man.
I appreciate you.
And you're a beautiful human being, and thank you for doing what you do. And I'll see you in Copenhagen soon.
Please, you got anything you need here.
This episode was produced by Brad Leone and Carolyn Gagnon in partnership with Studio 71. It was edited by Kate Brunotts with music by Harrison Menzel.